Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Here we are at game number 3 between LosirA and Marine King. This time on the map, Antigua Shipyard. And LosirA wins last game, bringing the series here to a tie at 1-1. This is going to be the third and final game here between these two players. Man, good job, LosirA. I don't know. I mentioned about halfway through last game, it was like a role reversal of game number 1. Game number 1, Marine King was the aggressor. He was constantly on the offensive and keeping LosirA from expanding. Last game was the exact flip of that. LosirA consistently on the aggressive, always hitting with his mutas and speedlings and baneling attacks and all sorts of things. Was able to keep Marine King from being aggressive. Now, that's not to say that Marine King didn't try. There were quite a few instances where Marine King moved out with the Marine tank and some medevacs as well, and tried to do some pushes, tried to do some damage, but pretty much every single one, LosirA was able to catch him in the center of the map before Marine King got to any of his expansions, with the exception of the very end of the game where Marine King was able to do a little bit of expansion harass. But throughout the early and mid game, LosirA prevented every attack from hitting his main or natural or third base, and that was exactly what he needed to do, because when the Terran player gets up to that position and they're able to start shelling out on your expansion, it's like a ticking time bomb at that point. It's only a matter of time until you're just completely out of it. So it puts a lot of pressure on the situation, and a lot of times to force players to throw units away just to try to deal with what's coming at them. But I don't know, man. LosirA did a great job of defending that game, and again, I am quite thoroughly impressed with that play. All right, so let's take a look at what's going on over here. LosirA will be going hatch first, immediately scouting out cross position. And we can take a look over here. Marine King at the moment appears to be going with that 1-Rax expand, much like we saw him do last game. Be a 1-Rax expand build, trying to prevent the placement of any attachments there just in case. Marine King was attempting like a Reaper expand, but as we can see, that is not happening here at all. He's going to move on down and realize, oh, there's no refinery, so there would have been no attachments to be had. Oh, that is sad. Very sad indeed. And taking a look back over here, we can see that LosirA has now dropped his spawning pool, and it does have an extractor coming through as well. We'll be saturating that immediately. Nice and early extractor is going to allow him to be very close to metabolic boost as soon as that spawning pool does finish. Going again for that extractor harass over here. Again, the reason behind this is that if he decides to keep this up, he will be able to keep tally on those Marines. He will know the fact that they are here and not trying to harass his expansion. So that's one of the great benefits of doing this. Not only do you delay a refinery from going down, although it looks like Marine King wasn't planning on doing so, but you keep these Marines in base and prevent them from, well, harassing you. So there you go. The biggest thing, though, is to make sure that you cancel and rebuild it as soon as possible. If you delay too much, you end up taking a lot of damage to your drone, and those Marines can drop it pretty quick. So finally able to work that down, though, as Marine King is able to get double refineries. He does also have these double racks coming on through. First racks pumping out those Marines. Let's take a look back over here. LosirA coming out with that metabolic boost, pulled all of his guys off the extractor to go straight to mining those minerals again. Try to get that income up. Double Queens will be able to start inject larva action immediately. And drops a spine crawler for a little bit of early game defense. Also, just in case you do happen to see some Hellions, this certainly helps deter them. I mean, you can take a look. The only way Hellions won't be able to get up there without getting poked, they would have to squeeze along this edge, but forcing that allows the Queen and Lings to move down to engage in a set position. They don't have to be too concerned. And also starting to spread that creep there as well. 2 Lings moving out, one sitting at the tower, second one moving forward here to be scouting out Marine King's expansion. Hasn't quite spotted that yet, but will be in just one moment. With that bunker coming on through. Now, Marine King does have plenty of Marines, but can't stop this scout from happening. So there you go. LosirA knows about it, and actually just going to sit tight here with that Ling right now, even though he's in danger of losing to those Marines. Loses it. Loses it. Extra range from the Marines while sitting in the bunker. Able to quickly and easily take out that Ling, and now starts to work towards getting that front wall up by placing one depot. A very strategic position. It's not necessarily that strategic. Look at that automaton. He's like, hey, what's going on up there? All right, pay attention to the game, Force. We got stim pack research coming out as well as a factory. I'm going to expect actually to see that starport immediately, because it looks like we'll be seeing a very Marine heavy push here from Marine King. If he gets those medevacs out as well, he can move out with a stim timing push with a few medis. Might even actually have time to grab that combat shield before the first batch of medevacs pops. Engineering bay again placed down here as Marine King continues to build up that wall. Zergling probably poking in there in a moment or two to scout that out. Roach Warren coming out over here for LosirA. A nice little frontal wall action over here as well. Again, this prevents pushes from Hellions from being as effective, kind of funneling them into certain positions. No layer yet, though. An evolution chamber coming out, and that will be the second, actually. Let's see what LosirA's aiming to do here, as he's got no third and no layer, but getting that Roach Warren. He's going to mass up those roaches. He's going for some crazy roach push. Certainly possible. Let's keep a close eye on him, huh? Figure out what the heck he's doing. All right, we got 1/1 upgrades coming out. The melee attack plus a Carapace here for LosirA. Back over here, it will be those Medivacs and those mass Marines, as assumed here. And we should be seeing a pretty hefty push once that first batch of Medivacs comes out, most likely here from Marine King. That's what I expect to see. Don't want to wait too much longer. Let's make sure you can take full advantage of that, do as much damage as possible. Finally coming out with that layer. Look how heavily saturated that main is. When you get those extra workers bouncing back and forth, that means you have a bit too much, and you could certainly afford to transfer some on over. Look at that guy pulling up all his drones together. Wants to get a nice distribution going. Loving the creep spread here. LosirA just all over that last game and this game. Speedling pushes up, spots a mass of Marines. Does realize that there was no tanks there as well. It's gonna tell him something funny's going on. First batch of Medivacs pop, and immediately Marine King makes his move. Moving out across the map. Stimpak done. Level 1 weapons almost finished. Combat shield is a pretty quick research as well. So that is going to be finished very shortly. We'll be making that transition into tanks here, but first with this bio-heavy push with a few Medivacs. Sits with one Marine over here, and now fanning out his forces. Now LosirA is still just on the 2 bases. We do have a macro hatch coming out, as well as a Baneling nest. Hasn't even gotten any roaches. He got that Roach Warren, but hasn't gotten any roaches here. Now, he did have a second evolution chamber building up here. He certainly could have done that down here, but maybe decided just to get the Roach Warren in case. And also, obviously, the benefit of having that as the wall-off building as well. Certainly helpful. Bio drops the destructible debris back here, giving him free access into this expansion. However, LosirA has not expanded. We saw that scan taking out a bunch of those creep tumors over there, really denying a bunch of vision there for LosirA. Overlord Scout spots all of that bio, and again, such a threatening force out here. Bunch of Speedlings, few Banelings coming on through as well. No counter or anything coming out here from LosirA. He is going to be focused on these units out front of his natural expansion. And really just stopping creeps from spreading right now is what we're seeing here from Marine King. He isn't really too dead set on making a push. Here come the Speedlings, though, and the Banelings. Speedlings get us around, but Banelings get target fired down before they're able to do any splash damage. We'll be able to mop up Marine King's forces, but he lost a ton of lings in the process. Not able to drop any of those Medivacs. Let's take a look there. Units killed. Marine King getting a bunch. Obviously, that's a bunch of Speedlings, though, so let's take a look at the important thing, which are resources lost. LosirA is behind. Also loses his Speedlings that were down here as Marine King moves out now with Marine Tank. So making that Marine Marauder Medivac push transition into the more standard Marine Tank. And I mean, it paid off, man. Look at that. I mean, we can see how far behind LosirA is right now. Almost 1,000 resources behind Marine King at the moment. And now with this very potent and standard Marine Tank push, he is going to be able to stop this third from coming up. And now Marine King again on the very strong offensive. Will be trying to delay LosirA and prevent him from expanding for as long as possible. We do have Speedlings in the center of the map that will be trying to cut off reinforcements here. Does manage to get a tank right over there. Over some more scan action, dropping creep tumors, doing some damage, spots everything on the high ground. He knows what he's up against. These guys will sit here to try to cut off any reinforcements. We got Lings over here. We'll be delaying this expansion as well. Banelings rolling down, getting a lot of splash damage, but just barely unable to kill those Marines there as they start to get healed up by those Medivacs as well. Again, Marine King has to move down with some forces to take out these Lings. Those Marines should be enough, and he will be able to expand. And Marine King right now just comfortable sitting here, as he is going to delay this expansion for quite a while from LosirA. LosirA has to be able to contend with this before he can expand. Tank on the high ground, certainly going to be a huge problem for him. Scanning to see if there are any burrowed Lings. We got a few Lings attempted to move up, but not quite able to do so. And he just completely bypasses the forces at the front of his natural expansion and sitting in his third as he moves out for a counterattack. Speedlings now moving on forward. We'll be trying to force the liftoff of this expansion, but again, Marine King's like, fine, you just won't take a third. That's cool. Bunch of burrowlings over here. We should be seeing a scan to deal with that, and then we got a few more hiding over here as well. Nice scan placement, though. He's able to spot pretty much all of the burrowlings, everything but those two sitting over there. And here we go. Spielings plus Infestors. Infestor dropping a few infested Terrans. Is able to take out this force, and Marine King. Oh, no. Forced to burrow. Marine King able to hold on a little bit longer than I thought, and with those few Marines, does eventually get forced back, but yeah, he did a fair amount of damage there. Still have these two burrowlings over here. Just going Spieling Infestor at the moment is what we're seeing here from LosirA. And LosirA does have those 1-1 upgrades already finished. Continuing to move across the map. Can't deal with those medevacs too well unless those Infestors get a fungal growth plus infested Terrans, but with no mutas right now, isn't perfectly well suited for dealing with that. Finally able to drop his third. Still have these two burrowlings over here. Let's see if those come into play. Definitely like to see them do some damage. I think it's just going to be waiting a wee bit longer before that happens, though. Income advantage right now. Certainly going to Marine King. Let's take a look at that. Got a very strong economy as he's mining over here from all three bases at the moment. Spielings breaking down these rocks. Looks like we will be seeing LosirA try to drop an expansion right on over in this position as well. Burrowed Banelings. There. Decides not to fall. Oh, there it is. On the burrows the Lings up here. Does some damage as the Marines pull back. Pops the Banelings on those Marines. Although that wasn't that large of a group of Marines. I don't know if that was really worth it. He lost 3 Banelings there. We still have these burrowed Banelings over here as well. Certainly a very effective tactic. Marines fanning out for expansions. Probably going to be able to kill off an Overlord or two as well. Got a drop coming over here from Marine King. Do also have a medevac right over in this position. Was able to drop in the main and do a little bit of damage. And then stimming up, he's going to do a bit of work over here. There's the fungal growth, allowing those Spielings to catch on up. Still have that medevac spotted over there. Force the lift off. And another fungal growth will do it. There it is. Last fungal growth needed. Here comes a drop again over here in the main. Scanning as well for the burrowed Infestor. So they'll do a lot of damage with this. LosirA pulls back to engage, forces a lift off. Taking a look though, LosirA is behind right now by a significant amount. It's about 1,500 resources behind, give or take. LosirA now going to be forced to cancel. Ah, that hurts. LosirA forced to cancel his 4th. Hasn't even started mining over here at his 3rd yet. Again, the income problem. It's so big in StarCraft. If you can harass income as effectively as we're seeing Marine King do this game, or that we saw LosirA do last game, it really puts your opponent in a bind. It's very, very hard to stay competitive against a strong opponent, especially the professional level play, when your income is behind. You just can't keep up with their production. You can't keep up with the macro. As they move up in tech, get upgrades, everything like that, if your income is suffering, you have a very hard time staying afloat. 3-3. Oh, burrowed Banelings. Love it. Marine King loses a ton of Marines there. Those are burrowed Banelings. They're just so fun to watch. It's unbelievable. Setting up tanks over here, pushing out now with those Marines. He just wants to try to spread them to stop those fungals from doing too much damage. Now, those Infestors really good against those Marines, but the problem is he spreads out those Marines and then sets up tanks. Those Infestors get worked quickly. Infestors are going to get dropped. We got Spielings moving from over here. There are a lot of Infestors, but with that scan, he clearly sees them all and does a ton of damage as a result. And we just lost a lot of Infestors there. LosirA taking a hefty loss. Continuing to push forward here. Marine King trying to stay as aggressive as possible, even with these small amount of forces. A few more tanks moving down, lots more tanks coming from over here, and a few more bio units. Here we go, Spielings pulling forward. Should be seeing some more fungal growth and infested Terrans over here. Oh, loses so many Infestors to the splash damage of those tanks, and LosirA forced to call the GG. Alright, my friends, that does it here in this series between Marine King and LosirA. Marine King ends up taking the series 2-1. LosirA winning game number 2, but unable to do so here. Again, it's the economy thing. If you get harassed and you're having a hard time getting your expansions and maintaining a strong economy, it's very hard for you to stay on par with your opponent, and this didn't help either. The Burrowed Infestors getting obliterated by those tanks due to that scan. That was quite a hefty loss there for LosirA. Really did not help his defense here. Alright guys, thanks so much for watching. If you like the content, please subscribe. And as always, keep watching and keep owning. Those poor Burrowed Infestors.